Hello and welcome to the latest Epic Universe construction update. Well, it probably sounds like a broken record at this point, but we have a lot of progress all around the Epic Universe construction site, and now that we have an opening date of May 22nd, 2025, we have roughly 6 months until this new park is opening. And I did listen to your feedback, as I am a man of the people here, so I am going to leave a little bit more time on the photos here for you to be able to take a better look at the construction progress and not feel so rushed throughout the video.
Don't act like you're not impressed.
But before we jump into the update, for those that are somehow unaware, Epic Universe is a brand new theme park coming to Universal Studios Florida. Epic Universe is located just 2 miles south of Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure in Orlando, Florida. And this new park will include brand new lands themed to How to Train Your Dragon, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, Universal Monsters, Celestial Park, and my personal favorite, Super Nintendo World. So as usual, we'll kick off our tour of the construction site by heading over into the Dark Universe. Over at the entrance portal, the scaffolding is coming down yet again, and we can now see some notches around the portal entryway here. And on the reverse side of the entrance portal, it looks as if the colorful pattern walkway that is very similar to the ones we find all over Epic Universe is finished. And over at the Frankenstein Manor, where Monsters Unchained the Frankenstein experiment is, we now have all the scaffolding removed and we can see the manor in all its glory. And I do have to say, it looks fantastic. And we look a little bit closer on the tower, we can see some aging theming elements here and what looks like a damaged roof, and this could be part of the nighttime lighting that will be featured on the manor. And on another view of the damaged roof here, it looks like it's supposed to be from a lightning strike. And taking a look at the tower at night, we can get a glimpse of some of the lighting elements that will be part of the manor and various parts of Dark Universe. And if you're unaware of what this will look like, here is some concept animation that shows what this will look like at night. In a closer look at the tower where the lighting elements are, we can see the theming details and likely lighting panels to give the lighting effect that we will see. And at the front of the manor, we can see what is likely the final product, and I have to say it does look pretty amazing. Everything from aging elements to the rusty gate and overgrown vines gives this whole area a very ominous look. And looking back further at the manor, we can get an idea of the overall look of the area, and like many areas of Epic Universe, there are tons of trees. And in this view, we can see the small building next to the manor that we've been looking at over many of the construction videos looks to be complete, and zooming out, we can also see the Curse of the Werewolf roller coaster, where we can get a glimpse of the forest that is now surrounding the ride in queue here. And in the queue of the Curse of the Werewolf roller coaster, it's looking how I figured it would eventually look, as there are so many trees now that it's kind of hard to see a lot of the queue walkways. We can also see that the tent coverings here probably need some more layers on top of them, but are getting closer to being completed. And here's a great view of the Burning Blade Tavern, where we can see the windmill looks complete now, and we can see the added lighting elements on the roof that were recently added. We can also get a glimpse of the entrance door to the tavern as well. And over in Darkmoor Village, we can see a new gate has been put in, and there is a covering on where the Das Steakhouse is going to be. And in another building in Darkmoor Village, we can see a door with lighting on the outside of it is now completed. And the well that is at the center of Darkmoor Village looks like its theming is done and looks very ominous and spooky. We do know from Universal themselves that according to the lore of the land, that well is to be used by the vampires that roam this area. Well, that's all there really is to check out here in the Dark Universe, but let's head over into the Wizarding World of Harry Potter Ministry of Magic to check out the progress in this land. Over at the entrance portal to the land, the colorful walkway looks like it's almost complete, and we can now see a medallion has been installed at the top of the portal. And beyond the entrance portal, we can see there is still some scaffolding working on theming, and again, we can see how many trees that are in this area and surrounding the entrance here. And on the other side of the archway entrance area, we can see the Golden Phoenix yet again, as there is some scaffolding below it as they finish up some theming elements. And further into the land, we can see at, I'm going to give this a try, Café L'Art de la Serene?
Not even close.
There are multiple signs and other theming elements that have been installed. Now, this is the cafe that will have an outdoor seating area to simulate eating at an outdoor cafe on the streets of 1920s Paris. And over at the Battle of the Ministry ride, we can see lots of progress on the theming elements on the entrance and the buildings here, and the theming seems to almost make a character of sorts if you sort of stare at it long enough and squint and turn your head a little bit.
I see it now.
And the building to the right of the Battle of the Ministry has some new theming elements as well, with 3 Metro Flu signs installed. And here's a great look at some of the theming elements on buildings in the land. And if you look closely at the yellow building here, you can see a drum set in the window. We can also see more streetlights have been installed throughout the land as well. And at the entrance to the stage show in the land, which is to emulate a tent that is much larger inside than it looks from the outside, it looks like some additional supports have been added to the red tent here. Well, there really isn't much else here to check out in the Wizarding World, but let's head over into the land I'm looking the most forward to, Super Nintendo World, to check out the progress here. And over at the entrance portal to the land, we can see more landscaping is being installed, and the colorful pipes that we saw on the last update on top of the portal are now gone.
What? Why?
And near the entrance, we can see the status of the Super Nintendo themed store that will sit outside the land, and the status of Pizza Moon, which is a quick service pizza restaurant, as you probably could have guessed from the name Pizza Moon. In the Mushroom Kingdom, Peach's castle is now completely covered in scaffolding, as exterior theming on many areas of Super Nintendo World are getting closer to wrapping up their theming work. And we've seen more progress on many areas in the land, and the staircase in front of Peach's castle is being painted now as it's getting closer to being completed. And on an area that is near Peach's castle, there is now green and yellow coloring on the walkways here. And at Bowser's Fortress, which is the entrance to the Mario Kart attraction, we see more progress has been made on Bowser's face, and more coloring is popping up in the area. And at the exit of the Mario Kart ride, which is also where the gift shop will be, we can see the Mario M is now fully visible and has more exterior theming work being done to it. And in the area, we can also see what looks like lampposts that also have some speakers on them, perhaps. And near Bowser's Fortress, we can see the piranha plants that are going to be sprinkled all throughout the Mushroom Kingdom. At Toadstool's Cafe, we now have some framing elements in place for the mushroom top, and they are being installed and worked on currently. And over at the entrance of Yoshi's Adventure, which is a family-friendly Omnimover ride, we can see the ride signage is still covered in plastic, but there is what looks like a Yoshi egg in the ground near the entrance walkway. And Yoshi's Adventure is still ongoing ride testing, and some theming elements have made some progress since our last update. And we can also see in these pictures that the conch door is now moving as part of the ride testing here. And also near the conch door, we can see a hidden Yoshi egg that is just barely peeking out. And jumping over to Donkey Kong Country, we can see the current status of Funky's Flying By souvenir stand. And at the entrance archway to Donkey Kong Country, we can see some progress is being made here as exterior work is still ongoing. And on the green separator between the Mushroom Kingdom and Donkey Kong Country, which some people have criticized for a lack of theming, is now having palm trees being painted on it. It's likely that this will have further theming elements painted onto it as well. And one of the coolest elements of Donkey Kong Country is now we have the Kong sign installed on Donkey Kong's treehouse, where guests can do meet and greets with Donkey Kong and other characters. And at the entrance to Minecart Madness, it doesn't seem like there is much progress here, but we can see some glowing eyes of a golden monkey peeking through the darkness. And over at Minecart Madness, we now have water in the splashdown part of the ride. And if you're not familiar with how this ride will work, it'll seem like the cart is jumping over gaps in the broken track and going through water in this part, but there is a side cart where the cart is connected to the entire time, like you can see in this patent filing from Universal. And there are some theming elements around the track on Minecart Madness, and here we can see one of these screaming pillars is getting some more exterior work done to it. And this is a great view of one of the minecarts on the ride that can be seen in some form of ride testing. All right, that's going to do it for Super Nintendo World. Let's head over into the How to Train Your Dragon Isle of Berk to check out the progress in this land. Over at the entrance portal to the land, we can see lots of progress on the rock work, and there is now some moss or grass on top of the rocks with some trees there as well. There is still dirt work happening on the entrance and exit walkways though. And we can see in this side angle that some small trees have been recently planted in this entrance area also. There's also water back in the bay, perhaps for good this time, as we can see some dragon houses that look to be complete in the background also. And over at the Viking Training Camp Kids Play area, there's a little more progress since our last update, as it seems there is work on a tunnel area, as well as some other elements in this area. And in the village in the land, we can see it's all starting to really come together here. The fountain in the middle of the courtyard is making some nice progress here as well. And over at Mead Hall, there is some theming elements going in near the entrance, and the whole area here is really looking great. And over at Dragon Racers Rally, there really isn't much here to report, as the tent framing is still in place, but no tents have been installed yet. And like many of the rides in Epic Universe, there is still ride testing ongoing. At Hiccup's Wing Gliders, we can see the load and unload station looks like it's complete, and the canopies that are covering the queue for the ride have been recently installed. And at the theater show in the land called Untrainable, we can see more theming elements have been installed on the entrance here. And at the left, we can see painted trees have been painted on the theater to blend in with the real trees that are in front of the building. And looking over at the boat ride in the land called Fire Drill, there really isn't too much to note here, but there does seem to be some more theming elements, and targets for guests to shoot water cannons at have been recently installed. And Spitfire Grill, which is a quick service restaurant in the land, is coming along, as there is now what looks like moss or grass yet again installed on the roof here. Well, that's really all there is to check out here in the How to Train Your Dragon Isle of Berk. Let's head over into Celestial Park to check out the progress in this new original land. At the entrance plaza of Epic Universe, there is progress on the entrance courtyard of what will be another colorful concrete pattern like we've seen in other areas of Epic Universe. And the waterways in the Luna Overlook are looking great, as they are now painted and they are likely to be filled with water very soon. Over at Constellation Carousel, it's making some progress, as we can now see some of the carousel figures have been installed in the ride. And if you're curious how this carousel will be different than typical carousels that you do see, here is some concept animation on how this will work. And over at the kids splash area called Astronomica, the finishing touches here are being done, and it looks like many of the jet sprayers here have been uncovered. And over at Stardust Racers, the Comet has some yellow coloring on it, and areas of the ride, including the queue and landscaping, are steadily making some progress. At the Helios statue, there is a ring structure that is being constructed, and work is ongoing on the statue itself. And speaking of Helios, the Helios Grand Hotel is still slowly making some progress, and the bronze dome is getting closer to being completed at the very top. Now, the big progress on Helios, though, is the pool and recreation area, as the pool and hot tub is now filled with water, as well as more palm trees have been added in the area. And we can also see here in the lower left of this photo is a good look at one of the bus stops for the Helios Grand Hotel. And one of the questions I've had about the Helios pool and recreation area was how they would deal with the sight lines and sounds that will be coming from the park itself, as it is right next to in-park elements, and it appears there is a wall that is being built that will block the view of some backstage areas, and will probably also operate as a way to cancel out some noise coming from inside the park. And when it comes to the two hotels sitting outside of Epic Universe, the Stella Nova and Terra Luna resorts, there really isn't much here to check out, but we can see at Stella Nova the pool area looks like it's completed, as it's opening in January of 2025, and Terra Luna is a little further behind and is now opening in March of 2025, and we are booked to stay at both of these hotels on opening day, so we will look forward to bringing reviews of these hotels when they do open. Well, that's going to do it here for the Epic Universe construction update. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel before you go. As always, we will be doing more Epic Universe news updates, land previews, and construction updates as work on this new park continues. And also here at Capture the Magic, we have informational videos to help you have the best time when heading to Universal Studios and or Disney World. And if you want even more Universal Studios and Disney World information, you can check out the Capture the Magic podcast, where we share tips, reviews, money-saving strategies, and more. You can find the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and also here on YouTube over at CTM Podcast. One of the biggest questions left when it comes to Epic Universe is when we could expect to see annual pass holder previews or soft openings So let us know in the comments, when do you think the soft opening or AP previews for Epic Universe will take place? And until next time, we will see you in the parks.